Well met, everyone. I am Rich Delich. It's time for another Fun Fights video. Here we go. You should know the routine by now. What I need is some sort of random D&D dice roller. There's our favorite app. So, what's what? If we take a look at the monster manual, or the monsters I should say, here in D&D Beyond, we have 70 pages of monsters. I will roll on D100 percentile dice, ignoring everything 71 and above, and we have 56, which means I will jump over to page 56. Here we are on page 56, the letter S, and just to confirm, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 at the Spectre, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Conveniently, there are 20 creatures listed on page 56. So what I'm going to do now is use the D20 and roll it up. A 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have the Spider King. A monster from out of the abyss to snare its prey. A giant spider spins elaborate webs or shoots sticky strands of webbing from its abdomen. Giant spiders are most commonly found underground, making their layers on ceilings or in dark, web-filled crevices. Such layers are often festooned. That's a good word. With web cocoons holding past victims. So, I'm going to take a print screen of this. We will jump over. Don't look at that. Don't look at that. That's something special. That's a new product that I will be coming out with soon on DM's Guild. For download, a PDF. Let's do a create new. 25. Where's my resolution? There we go. Good. Aha. We'll go like this. And then next I'm going to, you know what? I need to move all this stuff over. Un momento, por favor. So, I will do the Control V to paste, and we'll take this guy because we're going to need it. Control X, Control V. We'll go like this. We'll make this the background, whatever. You know how we do. We've got to add a stroke layer on this thing because it just looks cooler. I think we used blue last time. Let's go with dark green. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so let's take a look at the Spider King and see if there's something that triggers and gets the mind spinning. My goal here, as with all Fun Fights, is to take a Spider King, which is a CR1 monster, and make it into a creature and or an encounter and make it better, bigger, badder, cooler, more interesting, more challenging. By using the environment typically, I will create this on this piece of paper here. I'll draw it on screen. You'll see it all on video. I may draw out some details of what the environment might look like and talk about where the good guys will be and where the Spider King is and if he has any minions and extra spiders around. And the intention would be to print this out, bring it to my table, and use it as my reference sheet when I bring this to my table. So let's spice this guy up. Let's see what we have and see if something clicks. We have a Spider King. He's a large beast, unaligned. Armor class normal. For a CR1, really good hit points. I like that. Of course, he's got both regular speed and climbing speed. Nothing to write home about on the stats. His saving throws are nothing crazy. He's got perception, stealth. Ooh, he's got a good stealth, +5. So it makes sense that he can sneak, but you're not looking at roguish sneak, that type of thing. I think it's more of trying to incorporate the fact that he might be way up on the ceiling or like hidden in the darker shadows and the webs. I think it said that in the description when I read it, right? So he has spider climb. He can climb difficult surfaces, including upside down on ceilings without needing to make an ability check. Cool. Web sense. I'm starting to think Spider-Man. Something's clicking here. The easy way out, of course, could be Shelob or something from Lord of the Rings, right? But I want to try and not do that. While in contact with a web, the spider knows the exact location of any other creature in contact with the same web. Awesome. Very good. Web walker. He ignores movement restrictions caused by webbing. Common sense. Ooh. Because of its two heads, the Spider King has advantage on wisdom percent. Okay. There's nothing too exciting to me about the advantage on wisdom perception checks and on saving throws. Yes, he is hard to have any sort of condition stick on him, but the two-headed spider thing, that's creepy. I like that. And he's got a bite attack. You take some damage, piercing damage, and then you'd have to make a con save, otherwise you're going to take some more poison damage. If it reduces you to 0 hit points, you're stable but poisoned for an hour. Even after regaining hit points and is paralyzed. Wait a minute. The target is stable but poisoned for 1 hour, even after regaining hit points, and is paralyzed while poisoned in this way. Alright, so you have the Frodo thing. Okay? And then he can shoot a web. It's a recharge ability. Target's restrained by webbing. The restrained target can make a strength check to try and break out of it Hulk style. The webbing can also be attacked and destroyed, has vulnerability to fire damage, blah, blah, blah. Okay. The second head, I've got to do something with that. Now, to help me create an environment, though, I like the when in contact with a web, the spider knows the exact location. Okay, so number one thing is I'm going to create some bullet points. Okay, that's a horrible brush. Let's go with this. Let's do it on a new layer. Make it a lot smaller. We're going to leave it black. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some bullet points, and I want to use the web sense. Cool. I want to definitely going to use 2 heads. And then the third bullet point. The bullet points give me sort of a checklist for my mind, so I know what I need to detail out. And I don't try and think too far beyond that, which is nearly impossible for me, but it helps confine things a little bit. But beyond that, I don't want to confine anything. You know how I am with these not Final Fight. That's a video game, I think, right? These fun fight videos. I like to stay as creative and floaty as possible, and then try and figure out later, perhaps not even on video. It would be something where I'd bring to my table, and before doing so that day of the session, then I'll try and figure out the mechanics and the balance of it, right? Right now, I just want to have some cool ideas. So I have web sense that I want to play with. I want to use 2 heads. And then, what was I thinking? You know what? We'll just leave it like that for now, because I lost that train of thought, which is just fine. So we're going to create let's do this. I don't know what the hell this is. I don't know where I'm going with this yet, right? We're going to connect. It's a very alien. What's the Natalie Portman movie? Arrival, or the other one? That's not the Natalie Portman movie, but... So there's this very alien-esque... Not Alien the movie. James Cameron's The Amazing Hudson, Hicks, all that good stuff. But... otherworldly. Xeno. Something that just feels like you're almost in another world. I don't know what these are, but I need to do something with these things. So I'm going to make a bigger brush so that I can create almost bridges. I got something clicked. I'll explain it in a minute. I need to do this first. Okay, so down here, what does spider web look like? Whatever. Down here below, on the ground level, is not a good place to be for the PCs to walk into. Okay, there's way too much craziness going on with webs and entanglement and difficult terrain, and walking into it when you have an idea whether you want to assume the PCs know that they're about to deal with some Spider King Lord thing, or... well, whether they know or not, the minute they see there's an entire cavern filled with spider webs. I know these are not webs, but you get it. Right there, they're going to think, okay, where's the spider? Where's Shelob, right? So, there's this entrance down here, maybe. All right, there's this long cavern that has snaked its way. And the PCs, so enter. Right there. They come in through here. We're going to use our colors. We're going to use 1, 2, 3. There's only 4 PCs this time. The bad guy, the Spider King, is somewhere up here. Okay, so we'll say boom equals spider. And then this equals PCs. Okay? I noodle and nitpick this stuff so much. That's kind of a pinkish color, but that's kind of cool. I like it. All right, so we've got a good reference. That way I don't bog things down when I get actually into the encounter space at the table in initiative timing by having to remember what's red and blue again, that type of thing, right? So we have these bridges that are basically just large. I remember Todd McFarlane. He was drawing. I got to pull this up. I have to pull this up. Check this out. This spaghetti webbing. It was just awesome. Check it out. Check it out. Right here. I think it's like this one. It was really thick. That'll work. Okay. It's like a chain, right? You know, looks like noodle, pasta, whatever. So I like the coolness of that type of thing right there. Right there, look at this. See what I mean? So it's getting me to think of like a rope bridge type of concept, okay? So I'm in here. These things are that what we just sort of saw. These are large, just a bunch of webs that have been shot from the Spider King, and just over time they've sort of just meshed up and knotted up together, and they form these sort of rope bridges. So therefore the spider, yes, I know he has a climate, you know, he ignores movement restrictions caused by webbing and whatnot. The spider can easily navigate his way through these things. These are just sort of details that I'm making, but it's keeping my mind stay focused on what the intention was, so I don't have to overthink, well, you know, whatever. It's just keeping me free and being in that zone. And then there's these, almost like these nests. I'm also reminded of, whether maybe you've played Guild Wars or something like this. I'm reminded of these nests. There's a one of the newer zones, Verdant Reach or something like this, I think. There's this sort of treetop village, if you will. So there's these like nest things going on here, right? Now, I don't know where I'm going to go with the mechanics of things yet, which is why I'm over detailing the art here and drawing the environment, but it's very important. And it's very important to stay in the creative mode and not let yourself beat yourself. You know, you don't want to beat yourself up too much and let yourself get too, I like to call it, you don't want to get too crusty, too grumpy with your own work. And it's not a good idea and it's not going to work. And you know what I mean? Just stay out of that stuff. Keep positive, you know, do the best you can with it and just flow. And what's Gandalf's words to the Fellowship? Just flow with it and fly, you fools. Maybe don't fly, but you know. So we've got this going on, right? And there's like these nests that are sort of lingering here. And there's this, there's obviously supports underneath. And what you can often do is even draw. So like, for example, if I have sort of a, like this nest here, right? Underneath is just this, it can be very sort of tree-ish. Since where I was talking earlier about the treetop of things, you know, you can have this whole sinewy, whatever, nature, druidic, whatever, you know, like the spider webs in the forest, right? Spiders are inhabiting the nearby woods, clear them out, right? So that's sort of the catalyst and the inspiration for that. So this here is this different view. Okay, so we'll call this side view. And then we'll call this one the top view. And once again, I'm going to over-noodle that so you can read it. Okay, so this is the side view and this is the top view. Okay, so here is the nest. That's what these things are right here. Okay, and here's the spider, of course, and the PCs come in. Now they're at ground level. The PCs come in down here. Looking up, they don't know how to get up there yet, but the spider, now the ceiling of this whole cavern is filled with webs as well. The first thing I want to do is I want to get the PCs to wonder, and I know it's not necessarily a bullet point that I came up with in the beginning, but here's where I'm just going to write my notes. I want the PCs to wonder how many. Right? I want them to kind of think, there's clearly going to be X amount of spiders in here, tons and tons of them, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play on a little bit of a weird ghostly effect. I know there's no trait here, but I'm going to, for this encounter, I'm going to create a new trait. Okay, and for this one, I'm actually going to use ghostly voice. For the sake of video, I'm going to leave it just as is. All right. I know that you cannot read that necessarily, so let me pick this up a little bit. There we go. Good enough. Okay. As I've said in many of my final... I keep saying that. What? I'm like stuck on this game. As I've said in many of my fun fight videos, I would often take this for video purposes to keep it some semblance of concise and efficient. It's a little loose and sloppy. I would then take this and start balancing it, but also lay it out Design 101 a little better. You know, is I'll make sure that the bullet points fit, and I'll even possibly use the same font that I know WotC uses, and I'll just create it as my own little monster card. But it has this ghostly voice. Since we're dealing with two heads, it can send its voice elsewhere. So that ties into the illusion and the unknown that the PCs are not sure. Is that two spiders talking? They don't know it's coming from a single spider. So I'll play with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the spider gets surprise round. Now, I'm just going to hand wave this as a DM because it's a huge mechanic of the encounter. I don't care what their perceptions are. I don't care who's sneaking ahead. I don't care who's paying attention for threats. I am getting a surprise round. The spider will go first. The Spider King will go first. That's a huge mechanic of it. If I need to adjust a challenge rating as a result of that, so be it. But the spider has to go first. So the spider gets surprise round. On it, it will collapse a bridge. I'm thinking of this right now as I go. Okay? I'm a little sloppy today, folks. I apologize. It will collapse a bridge. One of these things. Okay? It's going to collapse one of these. All right? How fast it moves, it's 30 feet, but let's just say this is only 70 feet. So he can cover in a move and then the, what is it, dash action. He can basically cover the entirety of his place because, again, remember, he's ignoring any restrictions caused by his own webs, as would expect. So he can move everywhere and kind of cover these or interact and get to these bridges very quickly. So the ghostly voice, let's kind of start wrapping things up because I have an idea where I want to go and what I want to sort of end it with. Because as a challenge one encounter, it's not going to be anything major. It's a spider. It's creepy. It's two heads, but it's pretty much, what do they call it? Tank and spank, right? Get in front of this thing, try and interact with it at some point. And once you can get it and hope it doesn't get away from you, range combat or something like this, throw some light sources up high, you know, throw something up and create illumination up above so that he can't stay in the shadows and hide from you. Sure, maybe I'm rolling disadvantage for my PCs because you can't see them. There's a lot of just normal, almost little details I can work with, but it's still sort of just regular combat, right? You kill it before it kills you. But I can use the ghostly voice. I can use the fact that he starts off in his element, in his shadows, to give a reason why he gets a surprise round. And on his surprise round, he's going to basically get the ability to move and knock down one of these bridges. And the core mechanic that I want to work with here is it isn't the spider here that's the threat. It's sealed room. This may work best if I know the PCs are on some sort of a timer. They've got they've got to get this thing done within the next 2 days, or one of the members of the group has some sort of infection or something wrong with them, and they have a limited amount of time before they can cure it without having to resort to higher level. It can be cured with lesser restoration, but only during the next whatever, right? And it can easily get worse, possibly take hold and actually permanently affect the person. They might have to start rolling on DMD charts, like madness charts, and so on and so forth. So they're under some sort of time crunch within the entire dungeon environment place, maybe not necessarily with this room. So that becomes a very real threat if they have the chance of getting sealed in here. So yes, we can noodle and detail the spider all day long, but what he's basically going to be doing is he will spend, this is a big one, so I'm actually going to put it in red. Spider tries taking actions to break rope bridges, which are his webbed, that thing I showed you with Spider-Man's webs, right? In order to... How is it going to break and seal the room, though? So those things break. Got it. Got it. Got it. Release. Thousands of little... Makes it really creepy, right? Spiders. So imagine, if you will, you have this... You've got this rope, this strand of web. That's the word I've been looking for the whole freaking time. So you've got this strand of web, right? Just like I did the side view, I can have kind of a close-up of what this might look like. So you've got this crazy webbing, right? Those are the rope bridges. And within... as sort of a cocoon, there's these little dots, also known as baby spiders. And he sort of webs them and cocoons them. That's kind of weird and creepy. Maybe with perception checks and investigate, the PCs figure that out, that there's some sort of weirdness going on within those webbings or within the ropes. Now, the spider will do everything he can to take his actions to break those ropes and knock them down. And when they fall, they crash to the ground and that was awesome. They release all those little babies. And then round after round, those babies start not massive. You know, it's not anything real detrimental to the PCs. It's not like this guy's web recharge where it's X amount of, restrained and blah, blah, blah. It's just they start webbing everywhere and they start throwing. Imagine he breaks, this has 3,000, 6,000, 9,000, 12, 15, 18, 21,000 little mini spiders just... That's the sound of webbing. And they just web this whole place up. Yes, you want to give, just like here, the PCs a chance to break through it with strength checks, but it's now going to... We're not talking about round timing anymore. It's taking minutes. And how do they stop that? They notice that when there's 18,000 little spiders, yes, you can AE and fireballs and, the wizard, whatever, can do that. But you can still say, all right, we'll say like you kill D100 times 4. All right, you killed 310 spiders. You basically would indicate to the players, this is a swarm, basically. You're not going to stop the spiders. You have to kill the Spider King. So I'm spending all my actions as the Spider King trying to break these rope bridges. And it's a timer now within the room because the PCs need to kill the Spider King before he gets too many of these bridges to fall, which also, at the same time, makes it more difficult for the PCs to get to him because they have no way to cross through those nests. And remember, if he's sort of lingering and lurking in here, and he's in this space, you're not going to see him from the ground. And if he's sort of hiding in those nests, you got to climb up there. But then the spider can go up to the ceiling, and he can move up here and then crawl across the ceiling and then come back down into another nest and so on. And if you don't have those bridges, remember, it's a CR1. So the assumption is your group isn't high enough level to have fly spells and crazy magic items to help them move well. They now have to try and make a jump check across this 8-foot, 10-foot chasm. Fine, great. But if they fall, this could also be 40, 50, 60 feet up. The ceiling in here can be 120 feet. There's a lot of things. And then when they fall, they kind of fall in this web. It's not advisable that you jump. So they may not be able to interact with this guy, the Spider King. But all he's trying to do, instead of hurt and kill the PCs, he's trying to break. He doesn't think of it as I'm doing it so that I can steal the PCs in. He wants to just let his babies out. And he's feeling threatened and like, oh man. He's not saying, oh man. The PCs have journeyed into my reign. Whatever. And the PCs have confronted him in his own lair, and he wants to let his babies out. But eventually the PCs will start to piece together. As the babies are out, they're webbing everything, including our entry-exit point. And now you have a different encounter where it's not just dealing with the Spider King and, you know, we have to kill him because he's a massive threat. It's just he's doing everything he can to seal us in. And that's sort of it's kind of a big ramble there, but that's the beauty of these things. It's just showing you how we can take something here, and even though I wanted to go with the 2 heads and make it a spider and not have it just purely Shelob, I'm using the 2 heads and other things like that to give him the surprise round, which enables me to have him on his first action. Instead of using the surprise round to attack and poison and kill the PCs, if he has a surprise round and he spends it by breaking a rope bridge, there's obviously something important to the spider with that. And that's the first time the PCs start to get a clue. And you can automatically make an encounter so much more exciting when the PCs feel like, wait a minute, something else is going on besides just us kill him and he kills us. And now they got to start figuring things out, which creates this interest and this excitement to the encounter. And that is the point of fun fights. So, and I said it right that time. Thanks everyone for watching. I appreciate it. Take care.